The baseball cap felt strange on Ethan Carter's head. At 52, he hadn't worn one since his son's Little League games. He adjusted it lower, studying his reflection. The stubble and faded jeans completed the transformation. Nobody would recognize the multi-millionaire owner of Carter's Diners. The flagship diner's neon sign flickered as he approached. Windows once spotless had visible smudges. The bell chimed as Ethan entered. The smell was greasy rather than appetizing, missing the home-style aroma that had made Carter's famous. Just one? The waitress barely looked up from her phone. Yes, thank you. Ethan roughened his voice. He kept a low profile throughout his career. His own employees might walk past him without recognition. Penny led him to a corner booth, slapped down a menu, and wandered off. 20 years ago, he'd opened Carter's with simple philosophy: good food served with genuine care. That grew into 15 locations, until recently. This flagship had been bleeding money for 6 months. Staff moved without urgency. Rick and Marco, his manager and head chef, were nowhere during lunch rush. What do you want? The house cheeseburger. Medium. And coffee. 15 minutes later, it arrived lopsided with wilted lettuce and frozen fries. Overcooked meat, barely melted cheese, untoasted bun. Not his award-winning signature item. Behind him, 2 men in suits sat down. Did you talk to Rick? Yeah, everything's on schedule. Carter has no clue what's happening. Ethan froze, discreetly opening his voice recorder. How much longer? Maybe a month. Marco says food costs are through the roof, on paper. Rick's scheduling the worst employees so service stays terrible. Genius. Death by 1,000 cuts. By the time Carter realizes, it's too late. We'll get the place for pennies on the dollar. The health department almost shut it down last month. Marco left dairy out overnight, put it back in rotation. Nearly poisoned a family. How'd Rick explain the losses? Rising costs, competition. Carter's so trusting, he never dug deeper. Once we take over, staff cuts. Carter's too soft. Health insurance for dishwashers, paid vacation? That ends day one. Rick mentioned Carter's son has med school debt. That's our leverage. Ethan nearly turned in outrage. How did Rick know about Michael's private finances? When's the meeting? Tonight after closing. Rick's got fake accounts ready to start rumors about health violations. Carter won't be back until Friday. We'll have the offer ready. And the paperwork. All set. Language buried in the contract gives us first rights to the entire chain if this location fails after sale, which it will. We'll own all 15 diners within a year. Ethan paid and left quickly. As he stood, Rick and Marco emerged laughing. Ethan pulled his cap lower. Marco's eyes met his. The chef's smile faltered. Outside, Ethan headed to corporate. Lisa, he told his accountant, I know Rick and Marco are cooking the books. I need your help. Tears filled her eyes. I tried warning you 2 months ago. Rick intercepted my report, then threatened my job. My son needs medical coverage. I need those reports. Everything. Ethan called his lawyer and IT specialist, gaining remote camera access. That night from a hotel, he watched Rick, Marco, and 2 investors meet. They presented falsified financials, deliberately spoiled ingredients, and plans to approach Ethan's ex-wife for leverage. This is corporate espionage, his lawyer whispered. We have them. Dawn broke. Ethan gathered evidence and called operations director Janet. At 10:15, he returned, no disguise. Is Rick in? Back office, sir. Ethan entered. Rick's face showed shock. Ethan, I thought you were touring Eastern locations. Change of plans. Show me staffing schedules and supplier invoices. As Rick reluctantly pulled up files, Janet entered with a forensic accountant and investigator. Ethan connected his laptop, showing last night's footage. I had lunch here yesterday. Terrible cheeseburger, but fascinating conversation. 2 investors discussing how my manager and chef were deliberately tanking my flagship. Color drained from their faces. I particularly enjoyed contingency plans. Approaching my ex-wife, really? By 11:45, 40 employees packed the dining room. Ethan played the footage. Gasps and angry shouts erupted as they watched their supposed leaders plot their demise. You'd fire us all. Dorothy, a veteran server, cried. After 15 years? I owe you all apologies, Ethan said. These envelopes contain 2-week bonuses, compensation for what you've endured. Tomorrow we'll discuss rebuilding together. He turned to the conspirators. Rick, Marco, you're terminated. "Mr. Whitmore, Mr. Forrester, my attorney will contact you regarding civil damages." As security led them out, spontaneous applause broke out. Dorothy approached. "Mr. Carter, that man yesterday in the baseball cap. I served you that burger." Ethan nodded. "I'm sorry it wasn't better." "Don't be." Ethan smiled. That disappointing cheeseburger might have saved Carter's diners. 3 weeks later, Ethan sat at the counter. Fresh paint, new upholstery, reinvigorated staff. "Coffee boss," Dorothy, now floor manager, asked. The rebuild transformed everything. Raises, enhanced healthcare, profit sharing, management training programs. Customers returned in force. At lunch, when a cook called in sick, Ethan donned an apron. "Sometimes you reconnect with why you started," he told Gabriella, the new chef. For 2 hours, Ethan worked alongside his team, rediscovering the joy of creating something simple but perfect. When rush ended, Ethan sat at that corner booth where 3 weeks earlier he'd overheard everything. Dorothy delivered a cheeseburger with a flourish. "Made it myself, with a little help from the boss," she winked. Ethan took a bite and closed his eyes. This was Carter's as intended, simple food made with care. He looked around. Families laughing, couples on dates, regulars chatting with servers they knew by name. This was what he'd built, fought to protect, and what now flourished, stronger for weathering the storm. He took another bite, smiling.